Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Obviously, Saturday, 3:05 kick on BTN. And then next week, the final non-conference game, 6:30 p.m., also on BTN. Tomorrow, as we said, we'll start our Assistant Coach of the Week, Zoom at 11. Tomorrow, we'll have Brian Ferentz available doing that. The link to that was sent in the notes when they were sent out yesterday. So appreciate if you have that. If not, let us know. And with that, we'll get to Coach Ferentz.
Thanks, Steve, and good afternoon, everybody. Just share a few thoughts about Saturday, then move on to the game. First and foremost, as I said the other day, we're just happy to be 1-0. Obviously, not everything went according to plan, but thought our players showed really good determination, stayed together, focused through the game, and did a good job. And South Dakota State, we knew coming into it they'd be a tough opponent, and they are. They're a lot of respect for their program and their players. They did a great job out there. So defensively, just a couple strengths defensively. Thought we played about as well as you can. Obviously, there's some things you can do better, but those guys really played a pretty good game. Gave up a couple big plays, worked to eliminate those, but saw a lot of good efforts out there, good things. And then obviously on special teams was a big factor in the game too. And congratulations to Torrey for being Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week. He was busy all day and did a really nice job, and thought our protection was good, the coverage was good, and good job by our guys keeping the ball in the plus 50 opportunities. Pretty good job there. So that was good. And then obviously the kickoff coverage I thought was what we're looking for there as well. So that part's good. And then offensively, certainly we didn't get the kind of production we want. Felt like Saturday, and after watching the tape, felt like the guys played hard, and really a lot of the stuff is just a matter of execution. And that's our task this week. It doesn't get any easier because of the opponent we're playing, but that is our task right now, to clean some things up, do a better job that way, and hopefully put a better game production-wise out there. And then maybe the most disappointing thing, just overall, coming away -2 in the turnover takeaway margin. And it's not realistic to think that we're going to be able to get away with that, be able to play like that, moving forward. So that part we've got to correct and get that straight, set up a score for our opponent, and then also obviously knocked us out of an opportunity for a score. So that's probably as big a thing as anything from Saturday. Shifting forward to this week, our captains, just in alphabetical order, be Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Kayvon, and Riley Moss. So those four guys will represent our team. And really, there are two main things on the agenda this week. First and foremost, our growth, trying to improve as a football team every way we can here. So, every day is critical there. And then, obviously, trying to match up against a really good football team and in Iowa State. So that's where that's at. It's been a really good rivalry. And certainly, Coach Campbell and his staff have done an outstanding job since they've been there and really built a solid and really strong program. So you look at their tape, it's no big surprise. They're well coached. Those guys play really hard, and they're very, very solid in everything they do. Defensively, it's a really unique preparation. They're very different than anybody we play against, and Coach Aycock's done a great job since he's been there. They've had a lot of success. I think it's been a big part of their team's success is the way they've consistently played a really good defense. Offensively, new faces, but a lot of it looks the same. They've been really productive. Did a nice job the other day. Good group of receivers. Quarterback played really well and very poised, and they did a good job running the football. So looked balanced that way. And then on special teams, got a glimpse at them. Just a small segment, but I know they've got a good group there. And like always, they're hard, play hard, and they're solid there too. So that's kind of a synopsis of their team. And I think, one thing history's told us in this series, just expect a really tough, competitive, hard-fought ball game. And that's pretty much been the way it's been year in and year out, 20-plus years, even go back further than that. So, that's kind of what we're looking at. And just finish it up. Happy to have our kid captain with us, Audrey Chaneller, and I don't want to screw that name up, but she's from Hawkeyes, second grader, who I've been told is really loves art, loves dance, and been doing very well. She had a unique eye disease that she's rebounded really well from. Got great care across the street, and glad to have her with us. So be good to be on Kennick Saturday, and obviously a big week for everybody. I'll throw it out for questions.
What's the latest on Keegan right now, health-wise?
He still has, hasn't been with the team, so hasn't practiced with the team. He's with the team, but hasn't practiced. So I don't think, this week you can expect him.
How many more weeks do you think he'll be?
I wish I was that smart. It's whenever he's ready, he'll be ready, hopefully soon. Yep.
When you evaluate what Spencer did on Saturday, what did you see that kind of warrants him staying in that position? And is it more the equity that he's built over 2+ years that's kind of kept him there rather than making a full-fledged open competition?
Yeah, I think, it is full-fledged. I mean, in my mind it is. And every player builds a resume when they're here. Through the way they practice and when they play, and, we see more practice than we do game competition, but, I think he's done a lot of good things for us. He did some good things Saturday, some things he could have done better. I think overall right now, I think our biggest challenge, it's a little bit like last year, is just team execution right now, and that's, I want to give him a fair assessment, just like I would anybody that's in there.
Is there a health update on Justin Jacobs and Jamari Harris?
Yeah, they're both, Justin will not make it, and Jamari's very doubtful, so we'll learn a little bit more today, but yeah, not optimistic on that.
Obviously, a different look at quarterback from their end than years past. You saw him briefly last year.
Yep.
What impresses you about Hunter Deckers, from what you've seen?
He's a left-hander. Start with that. I don't know how much that, the ball still comes out, so you got to defend it no matter where it goes. But a little bit different. He's got a little snake stabler, a little sidearm stuff in there every now and then too to get the ball around. So he did a good job. He really looked poised, made good throws the other day, and they hit some big plays. They've got a good group of receivers, tough to defend. But the biggest thing, he just looked like he's totally under control, and they did a nice job offensively of executing, kept him clean, and he can pull him down and run it too when he needs to. But just a really impressive outing.
Saw Gavin on the 2 deeps. Is he questionable or full?
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Gavin.
Well, hopefully we'll get him back. I think we're optimistic there, but we'll know more here as the week goes on. Yep.
What about Wyatt Black? He's not on the 2 deeps. Is he out?
Yeah, he unfortunately injured his foot during the game, so I think it's going to be a matter of weeks probably with him. So it moves Louis Steck up, and Aaron Graves probably be in that mix too.
Coach, what did you think of Arlen Bruce's performance on Saturday?
I thought he played really well. Yeah, and one thing I didn't mention on special teams is just the fact that, he and talked about last week about guys being in new roles, and both he and Riley, having returned kicks. I thought both of them did a really good job back there. And Arlen's been, just practicing really hard and doing really well, and, he's a really good football player for us.
Spencer obviously didn't have his best performance last week. How long of a leash does he have if things aren't going well against Iowa State?
Well, I mean, our intention right now is to go out and play, and, we'll evaluate everything as it comes, but, that's not prominent in my thoughts right now. My thoughts are more just in terms of our entire group. Hopefully we can give them a plan that they can execute well, and, if we play well cohesively, I expect him to play well in his role, and that's the biggest thing right now is give him a little bit more help.
How much do you work the number 2 guy once it gets down to game weeks? Typically, is this a typical week?
Yeah, not a lot. With the ones you're saying, or?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, both guys are, we're running the same plays, both groups, but, and we tend to, and I imagine most people do this. Pro football is a little different, but we tend to, work 2 offenses during the course of a practice, and, so the 2s get a lot of reps, not as many as the 1s, but they get a lot of reps. So Alex is running the same stuff that Spencer is.
Kirk, I was told you showed Jack Campbell's answer as far as the team camaraderie. Why did you feel that was important to show the team?
Jack just embodies what it is to be a great teammate, and I think that's one of the great things about football is, people that are good in football understand it's a lot bigger than themselves, and they understand there's ups and downs, and a lot of moving parts in any football team. So, and I showed it with a little bit of hesitancy, only because it probably embarrassed the crap out of him knowing Jack. He's just he didn't do it for that reason. So, but I thought it was just a really good message for everybody on our team to hear, and I mean. Jack breathes it, lives it every day. That's the way he's wired and the way he's built. And that's, in my opinion, part of the reason he's such a great player. And just glad he's on our football team. But, I think it's good for everybody to hear that kind of message. just in all walks of life, quite frankly.
It's usual that an offensive line can be a little sloppy in the opener until they get their chemistry and techniques down. It seemed a little more sloppy than normal, I thought, the other day. How did you assess it, and is Jennings Dunker part of it, or he seemed to play well, or is he hurt too?
No, he's not hurt. He's been hurt, but he's not hurt. So you touch on one thing, and I'll circle back. I think I may have shared this with you. I can't remember who I talked to sometimes. But anyway, to the hurt part, like we've had a lot of guys hurt over the past year, and think about Jennings missed pretty much last year. So this is like his first year of playing, quite frankly, in a lot of ways. Bo the same way. A lot of our younger guys last year just missed a lot of time. Really unusual year. I don't know if it was a COVID afterburn or what. So they're really young, and everybody's competing. Though we got a group of 8, 9, 10 guys that are competing for playing time, and I anticipate that being a little bit of a fluid process. And then part B of that, and this is, I can't remember if I mentioned this last Tuesday, but you watch a guy like Logan Jones. It's probably a pretty good metaphor for our offense in some ways. You watch him operate, and I've referenced, we watch practice a lot. We see practice. We do it every day, and you guys get a small window. But he just handles himself in such a, proficient, productive way. He's just a really, good football player and a good practice player, all that kind of stuff. But I caught myself at the end of last week, remembering this is this guy's first year playing, first game playing really, and first time he's played center. And Linderbaum went through the same thing, 3-4 years ago. So, he didn't have his best game, and I think he'll take a big jump. I'm confident he will, just because there's no way to simulate some of the things he had to do. And just give you a quick example, you probably can't see this, but we're not all there on the cadence the other day. Some guys are a little slow, or the ball's a little slow getting snapped. To me, that's your first game. That's what that's all about, and the sooner we can accelerate that process, the better. So, he's not the only guy in that ballpark. There's a lot of those pictures across the board, and that's our challenge. That's the race that we're running right now, and the clock's sitting there at 3:05 for Saturday, so we don't have a lot of time. So we got to speed that process up as much as we can.
Excuse me.
You don't have a 310-pound guy on his nose every play this week just to make it that much harder for him, but he'll be fine.
Speaking of sharing things with the team, I think Jack shared this as well, that Adrian talked about the 09 opener against UNI. Very next week, you beat Iowa State 35-3. Is there a lesson learned there about the 09?
Well, yeah, Part B, I'm not sure about Part B, but that was just strictly coincidental. And, one thing I learned Sunday is that Adrian's a golfer now, and he looks it too. He's dressed nicely. He got nice, the nice golf shirts, and I doubt it's the cheap stuff too. I mean, no, an AC. So, but he stopped up Sunday morning. I guess he got around to golf in, and then just stopped in. And he told me he reminded a couple fans around him of that game because he obviously was playing in that game. And I think that's really kind of an illustration. I think all good teams develop during the course of the year, and I think certainly that ended up being a really good team. But we were hardly world beaters on that opener, that's for sure. So, the point there is it's all about what you do moving forward, and there are going to be bumps along the way. We'll have bumps later on in the season too, but it's how you handle it, how you respond, and certainly the 09 team did a great job, not only that next week, but moving forward, and that's really where we need to be focused, is what can we do to get better and improve and fast, that's our topic or our task. So that's kind of the deal there. Our guys are talking a lot, huh? Boy, jeez. Anything else they got on there?
Maybe later.
There was booing at various intervals in the game Saturday. Are your players alienated by that, or are they conditioned to shrug it off, even ignore it?
Yeah, I haven't asked anybody, but everybody in the team's human, so I'm sure they hear it, and I'm not going to say it's unfortunate, but it's just, it is what it is. It's sports, and that's the world we live in today, and quite frankly, my bigger fear is social media. Has been and will remain that way. I just think if one thing's changed in 20 years, people booed 20 years ago too, but the social media world, and as you might imagine, I don't spend any time on it, but I know our players do, so I worry about that probably more.
We saw it against South Dakota State, and then last year against Penn State, that north end zone difference with the false starts. How much of an impact has that renovation made?
Oh, it's just, it's awesome. First of all, it looks great. It just, dresses up our stadium. We've already had an unbelievably great stadium, but that just adds to the environment. And, one of these days, if we ever get into an overtime game, I promise you that's where, we're going to pick that end for sure to put our opponents. But I think it's just added nothing but great things, and certainly, makes it a little bit louder down there in the field.
When you look at their defense, it is built a little unique, I guess, 3-3-5, although it does sometimes look like a 4-2. And in particular, number 9, Will McDonald, has been a force for them for a lot of years. What are the challenges for a young offensive line to pick up that scheme? And then second of all, number 9, what can he do that could make things very difficult?
Yeah, two things on that. So it's a little bit interesting because you think that league is a tempo scoring league, and but this defense to me holds up really well against any kind of offense. Like, it's a real challenge. It's a challenge to match up with it in a week's time, and we really are not big on working on opponents during camp or spring ball. We used to do it a little bit in the 80s, but so that's a challenge in itself. And then on top of it, they got really good players. And they're very well coached and they're very aggressive. And then to your point about number 9, he's probably an illustration of why their program's good, because with every year you've seen him take another step. And I thought he was a far better player a year ago than he was a year before that, and he was good 2 years ago as well. We didn't play him, but saw him on tape, so he was good. Whatever year that would have been, 20, I guess, right? But boy, last year, this guy was playing, and he's playing even better now, which you'd expect. He's just a really good football player, very sound, and also very, very explosive.
Didn't really see much of Ellsbury or Plum on Saturday, but I see their first team on the 2 deeps. What role do you see both of them playing on the offensive line?
They're both in the mix. I mentioned we got 8, 9, guys competing for playing time right now, so they're certainly in the mix. And two different stories. Tower hasn't played as much as Jack. We've seen Jack play on the game field and play well, and I think Tower's improved with every phase. So we're just keeping an open mind there too, and just trying to figure out what our best mix is.
Receiver-wise, obviously, everyone's dying to know when reinforcements are on the way, but is Reganey on track for next week, would you say? And then Vines' name came up today. I know he's not near future, but what's his timetable?
Yeah, so he's probably further down the road. I can't tell you when. Nico's improving and gaining ground, so that's reason to be optimistic. But I don't know if it'll be next week after, but somewhere down the road he'll be back. I'm confident this month. I think we got time for that. And then Vines, I think, is further down the road. I just said that. And the other thing of note, I guess, now Brody's back practicing, but the race he's running is he's missed a lot of time. Really didn't do anything in the spring. He was playing baseball, and then last year was out with injury most of the year. So he's running a race against time, but at least he's out working now and getting quality work.
When you look at Laporta splitting out wide for a few snaps, I would say the other day, does that help him, or does it help your offense to have him out wide, or does it kind of take away from what he is so effective because of his matchups that he can do on the inside?
I mean, yeah, hopefully we're going to utilize him in a way where he can be effective, whether he's playing a traditional tight end role or as an X receiver. But yeah, I mean, we're putting him out there where we think he can do some things and add to the offense, and part of it's by necessity, just our lack of depth at the wide out position, and he gives you that flexibility. Stanford did the same thing that Rose Bowl year, the guy they had that year. So I think he's got a unique skill set there, and we feel good about our other tight ends on top of that. Feel really good about Luke. He's done a lot of good things with each phase. So yeah, it's just trying to figure out what's the best matchup or best way we can mix our personnel and get some mileage out of them.
Coach, you mentioned social media, and social media has really taken shots at Spencer. I was just curious.
I can't imagine. Just guessing, yeah, to speculate.
But I mean, do you feel like the quarterback maybe gets a little bit too much credit when the team wins and too much blame when the team loses?
Yeah, that's an age-old story, and just the way it is, But that's, if you're a quarterback, you have to understand that's just part of the territory. And again, my encouragement is our guys, and I'm not against social media. I want to go on record saying that. Don't want social media lovers hating me. But anyway, I'm not against it. My biggest concern is just how much time gets absorbed by people with it, and it's it's kind of a real popular thing. I get that. But there's a lot of other stuff on our guys' plates, and and again, most of the stuff that's on there, I'm guessing, is probably pretty predictable, depending on how things are going, during whatever it is you're doing. So I'm not sure where the suspense is for people that do go on it, looking for feedback. And my other thing, I just encourage people to seek out opinions of people they really respect, and never worry too much about a stranger.
At quarterback, I know there's examples in the past of your guy being a better practice player or a worse practice player than maybe he was on game day. Can you think of maybe good examples, even if it was in the 80s, where Hartley maybe?
Well, yeah, that's the best story. That's easily, because I was convinced he was clearly number 3. One guy was a first-round draft pick, but just it didn't work here for him. So yeah, you never quite know. But I think we've got a good gauge on both guys, and we have confidence in both guys. So that's the good news. I've been saying that consistently, and my opinion hasn't changed. So it's we're just going to keep pushing forward and see where this goes.
What has Joe Evans meant for this team?
Joe, I don't want to call him a total surprise, but a little bit of a surprise. High school quarterback, linebacker. But the biggest thing about Joe, first thing I think about is just his energy and his tempo. When he's playing, he does it one speed, and boy, he's undersized, quote unquote undersized, but he's just worked so hard and really has learned how to play that position, in 3-4 years' time here. So gives us a lot of energy, a big burst out there. And right now we're fortunate we have a little depth so we can rotate guys and keep them fresh. But Joe's been a great team member and really productive football player, very disruptive.
When you look at the Connor Colby moved outside the other day, how did he perform at right tackle, and do you anticipate him staying there, or do you think he might move back inside?
Well, we got some flexibility there, first of all, but our intention is right now to keep him out there. And again, it's, I talked about players playing first time in a new spot, so it's a learning process for him. There are some times just, technically he did some things like a guard that a tackle can't do. So I think those are easy fixes, quick fixes, but, now it's a matter of doing it under game pressure, and that's a big difference too. You do something in practice and you get in live competition, all of a sudden you revert back to some muscle memory stuff, habit stuff, and then, it shows up. And so that's part of the challenge for him, but he's doing a good job.
This game hasn't been played here in almost 4 years. Some of your guys haven't even played this game at Kinnick Stadium. What does it mean to your team to get this one at Kinnick finally?
Yeah, the bigger point there for me is like just the COVID year. It was weird in a lot of respects, obviously no fans, all that stuff, late start. But maybe one of the weirdest things is, to your point, the series. Like for us looking back historically, we got last year and then, whoa, like it felt like 10 years ago, the 19 game. And it took 10 years to play it on top of it. So, but it's almost like that game, dismiss it, throw it out. It just is so far back, even though it was, wasn't that far back. But the lack of playing every year it's weird, strange. So, but all that being said, it's still Iowa State. It's a big game for everybody in the state. It's certainly a big game for both programs. And, I don't want to speak for their side, but I'm sure they're like us. I mean, everybody on our team wants to win this game. Why wouldn't you? So it's a big game. I think it's another cool aspect about it. I think it's probably the only, BCS Power 5, interstate rivalry where teams are in different conferences. I think that's still true. I probably should check my little road map. We got conference. It's not who's.
Georgia Tech, Louisville, Kentucky.
Those don't count.
Florida State.
I can't keep track of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It used to be in the 80s.
Anyway, yeah, there was a time when people were in the same conference in the same state, except for us.
Yeah.
So now I'm dating myself. Yeah, okay. Still a cool rivalry.
Xavier Hutchinson's one of the better receivers in the country. I don't know how much you've watched their offense or
enough to know who he is. And be worried about him.
Touchdowns or whatever.
Yeah.
What challenge does he present for your secondary, and especially because there's some new faces there?
Oh, he's a really good football player, and then on top of it, they do a really good job of moving him around. So he's not always in a place. Like you don't know where he's going to show up, and they did a nice job the other day getting a personnel mismatch, and they made the other opponent pay for it. So. But he's a really good football player. He can run, he's going to catch it, and he can run after the catch too. So, and he knows how to get open. But yeah, he's a really good player, and they use him well in their scheme. That's for sure.
Considering that they don't have the tight ends that they did last year, and and without Justin Jacobs, do you anticipate this being more of a cash type of defense this week because they do run more 3 wide receiver sets than they did
Yeah,
last year?
we'll see how it plays out, but yeah, if they're in 3 wides, we'll probably be in cash. That's kind of a common thing for us, but they'll do some 2 tight end stuff and get heavier, and those guys did a good job Saturday, and if they do that, we'll make our adjustment with our personnel, be it Logan Klemp, or we get some position flexibility with some of the other guys, so we'll figure that out, but yeah, it'll probably be a mix for us on Saturday like most times.
How did you see Logan Klemp step up there when Justin got hurt?
Did a good job. And he's an older guy. It wasn't a surprise. And he's been one of our really core special teams guys. And that's, I talk about that all the time. That's really where you learn how to play. At least defensive guys tend to. They start out there. And he's been really dependable, very productive that way. And I think everybody respects for the work that he's done on special teams, not only this year, but going back. So I think that makes it easier when you get in a situation like that. He looked comfortable out there and played well.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Yep, thank you.